forget what you've heard about Vietnam. Let's find out what it's really like.
Imagine an economy that, in the span of a few decades, catapulted from one of the poorest in Asia to a growth rate of 8.02% in 2022, outpacing even the giants like India and China. This isn't a hypothetical scenario. It's the reality of Vietnam. With a GDP per capita that increased nearly tenfold from under $300 in the 1980s to $2,800 in 2020.
Yo, it's the Vinny Pazienza of expat relocation, the Ettore Gotti of retiring abroad, the Tommy Hearns of quitting your stupid job in the West and improving your lifestyle. And I just want to start the video off by reminding everyone that this video is brought to you by Safetywing, but we'll get back to that in a minute. I'm here with the legendary Uncle Hollywood, the greatest educator to ever grace a public school system of Ho Chi Minh City, aside from myself, because he was my original protege, the original one brought up in the game. We're coming to you tonight because we're making a sequel to our previous video. Our first video was 5 reasons why most ESL teachers won't last out here in Southeast Asia, and more specifically for this video, Vietnam. But really, a lot of the same stuff applies because I've seen people run out of Cambodia also. So, some people are just not prepared for the culture and for how different things are going to be and how different mindset can be. So we're going to talk a lot about that tonight. And hopefully this will be a good video for you guys and you guys will get something out of it. And if you have anything you want to know specifically from us, any suggestions for any videos, please leave it in the comments. If you have any questions or things you don't agree with us about or things you think we're unclear about, leave it in the comments. If you hate us and think we're scumbags, leave it in the comments and make sure to brush your teeth. So anyway, let's start off. Uncle Hollywood, we'll start with your life work ratio. So the amount of time that you're actually working in the job versus the amount of time that you're free to do whatever you want to do.
That's a great subject. That's one of the biggest things when I talk to people about coming here to work. I was out this weekend rocking out at the station, and I seen a bunch of kids from the UK, and I started talking to them about you should come here because in the UK or America, you work 140 to 160 hours a month. And here, last year, I worked 125 hours a month. This year, I'm working 70 hours a month, and you have more time to do stuff. You're not as tired all the time. You're not, beat up when you get home because you have breaks in between the day. So it's not even straight work. And just not working 150 hours compared to working 100. Different world, man. Different world. I came here 4 years ago. Haven't left.
So guys, I don't want anyone to think that we're selling you that it's the greatest lifestyle ever. That's why we have a video on why people won't last out here. So today we're going to focus in on all the positives. So for those of you who are just seeing this video for the first time, don't think that I'm not portraying reality. There's a bit of reality in everything we talk about, even in the good things. And I'll say this, if you are living in Vietnam, you will have a much larger amount of free time that you can either use for teaching more to make more money, or starting a separate business, or having hobbies, or having friends or activities or dating or whatever you want to use your time for than you would in a Western country for the amount of hours that you need to work. So I feel like in America, people, for example, would be working maybe 60 to 100 hours a week in order to enjoy a similar lifestyle to what an ESL teacher in Saigon would have. When we talk about how many times a week they can eat at restaurants, how many times a week can they rely on transportation apps, right? Or how many vacations a year can they take?
Yeah, there's many holidays here too. It's not like you only get a few. Like in America, you get the basic ones. Here, you're in Asia, so you get the Americans and you get the Asian ones. So you have time off. Like in December, you have 10 days. In February, you'll have 10 days, and the money you're making, time you're not working, you can go anywhere in Asia for nothing. So the days off you have, think about what you said. You work, even if you work 50 hours a week. In Vietnam this year so far, I'm only working 70 hours a month, not a week, a month. And I'm making a little less than I would in America, but the cost of living is so drastic. You can go out every night, drinking, eating, unless you go to the rooftop bars, then you might stay in one night. But other than that, you're going out eating every night. In America or the UK, people I talk to, they're busting their ass just to pay rent.
I think if someone was a single person in the US making like 100 grand a year, they'd be able to eat out and do those kind of things in like a decent sized city. But I think for the average person who's not making money like that, they're definitely not living like that. And it's crazy because they're maybe earning, for example, like anywhere from like 20 to $50,000 a year in the US, where if they had that kind of money in Vietnam, they would be balling out of their mind. So you're not going to probably make 50 grand a year teaching English in Vietnam, but you will make a good living comparable to what things cost. So you are able to save. And you don't necessarily even need to work a second job. It just depends on how modestly you want to live. If you want to live a more extravagant life and still save, then you just teach in the evenings and you teach during the day. But there's still going to be a bunch of hours during the day where there's break times that you don't get paid for. So that's time that you can do things for yourself or for things that you want to get done for the day.
But you can kind of make your own schedule too. I mean, like right now, I don't even work Monday. I tutor on Saturday, but my weekend, I had like a 3-day weekend now. I decided, I have some injuries. Instead of work last year, I worked 125 hours a month, and I made over $2,000. And which to some people are going to make more money. Some might make a little less, but I found that even with 125 hours a month, I felt like I worked too much. Being here for 4 years, I'm like, oh, I'm working a little too much. So now I'm only working like 70 hours, and I'm making a little less. But I mean,
and you're doing 70 hours a month, right?
A month, yeah, a month. Yeah, can I emphasize that more? 1 month, 70 hours, and I'm working, making a little less money. But like I said, if you're by yourself, I think the max you're going to spend going out every night, rent $1,000, and you're going to make $2,000. So you have time to travel and use that money wisely. A month, yes, you get paid. You get paid like every 40 days. You get at the end of the month, and that usually takes the job 5 to 10 days to get the money and get it deposited. So as far as the hours you want to do, it's up to you. I mean, if you had a family and came here and 2 of you were teaching English, you could have a nanny at your house.
Yeah, easily.
So I mean, your life is a lot easier. You can get a driver every day. I haven't drove a car in I went back to America, I drove a car, but in like 4 years, I haven't drove in more than 2 months in a total. So you just a little bit more easier. You don't work as many hours, and so you have more opportunities to do things to make your life easier. Yeah, so the life that you have in Vietnam, is you just have so much more opportunity to have an easier life. It doesn't make sense to go back to the country of the UK or America or even Australia. Yeah, you're teaching English. You might have a little cushiony job, but you're just a slave. You're just slave in your life. You're just working 160, 180, 150 hours a month. We're here, a lot of hours is 125 a month. That's a lot of hours.
Right.
You get 125 hours. That's a lot.
Well, I think most people in America are working 40 hours a week or more, like for sure, because there's not much middle class left. And even the jobs that do have skills, the corporations work them and they don't give them a lot of days off. And it's funny because in Asia compared to Europe, they don't get a lot of days off. But compared to the way it is for a lot of these Americans, Tet holiday, like you said, the Independence holiday, these are big, long breaks. And as a teacher also, there's going to be summers So you have the opportunity to either work in another job, like a summer school or in a training center over the summer, or to work on your business, or to travel, or to do pretty much whatever you want to do. And if you had a job in the States, I shudder to imagine what you would have to earn to be able to eat out 3 times a day, take, rideshare apps everywhere, and then still have time to travel and or work on yourself. You know what I mean? There's very few places that I can think of in the US where that would be possible.
Without a doubt. Even the gyms, like if you like to work out, the gyms are cheap here. You can spend a month, maybe if you want a gym that has no aircon, you're outside, you're gonna spend maybe 300,000 a month, which is like $15. You get a nice gym that might cost you 2 million, which is, what is that, like $80 a month? But just everything. You work your butt off there just to pay you, just to struggle to buy a can of Campbell's soup right now. So it's mind-boggling, man. It's mind-boggling. Why bust your hump every month to pay your rent, to pay your car insurance, to pay your you get an apartment here, your Wi-Fi is included.
Yeah.
You don't even have to worry about Wi-Fi. It's included.
A lot of times free laundry also.
Free laundry and cleaning. Maybe like you spend $20 a month for a maid to come twice a month.
All right, so let's take that into our number 2, and I will say cost of living, because this is probably going to be one of the most important ones. Guys, I want to remind you guys that this is not a video that is ranking these things in a top 5. These are just 5 things that are really good about teaching, because we did a video to remind you guys again that we did a video of 5 things that were really awful about living and teaching in Vietnam, right? So I could talk to you guys about a lot of different lives that are available in Vietnam, but this is very much specifically about the life of the ESL teacher. So wherever you're at, whatever your ambitions are long-term in Asia, a lot of people start at this point. So this is a great place to kind of take it from. Cost of living in Vietnam. And we'll talk about Saigon, and we can talk a little bit about the provinces and maybe Hanoi a little bit, but just mostly it's going to be focused on Saigon because that's where the largest market is for employment. That's where all the business is. Yeah, Hanoi is also an enormous market, so we'll touch on that too. But I would say let's talk a little bit about the range in cost of living. So what you get at different slices of the pie, and what a common teacher to like an international teacher could expect in terms of lifestyle.
First of all, you go to my channel, Hollywood Journey. I got photos of my apartment where I only spend maybe $300 a month.
Yes, sir.
You can see some videos about that, and you have some videos about housing. So, that would be a good look up. But if you're an international teacher, you're probably making between 20, 27 an hour. You're probably doing minimum 100 hours, and you're probably going to be living in District 1 a month. Yeah. And you're probably going to be living in District 1, 2, or 3, where you're going to spend 2-bedroom. Let's say you get a 2-bedroom. What are you going to spend? 500, 600 if you have a gym with a pool, and
I would say maybe 500 to 800.
Yeah. You can get one. I know a guy, and he lives right in District 1 on the main behind the Opera House, and he spends $1,000 a month. He's on penthouse.
Yeah.
But like
I would say, but in an average range, because we don't want to go so high where most ESL teachers are not going to be renting, over $1,000 a month apartments unless they're sharing them. So I would say a range of 600 to 800, 500 to 800. I think that's realistic for an okay 2-bedroom, probably closer to 800 in the better buildings like Mastery, places like that. Some Vin homes could be up to 1,000, but you could definitely find smaller 2-bedrooms in smaller service department buildings and, for less money.
Absolutely. If you're going to work out of those 3 districts, where I work outside, now your rent's going to be anywhere between 300 and 600, maybe instead of between 500 and 900, and your food will be a little cheaper.
Well, that's the thing, if you earn more as an international school teacher, you will pay more in some situations if you want to live near to where the schools are. Whereas if you're working in public schools are in every district of the city. So you can live in some of the cheapest areas of Ho Chi Minh City to where you have a good apartment for $300 a month. Not a 2-bedroom, but like where Uncle Hollywood lives is very inexpensive. Food is very inexpensive. His neighborhood, even a nice high rise, I think you could start getting entry level ones for $400 to $500 a month. Do you remember our friend who used to live in the what's it called tower near you? The Madman. What's the name of that building? The Rich Star. The Rich Star.
That's the most
So that
expensive one in the area.
but that's a great example. That's only about like $400 a month for something with no view, and maybe $500 a month or more for something with a view, 2 bedrooms, right? So if you're teaching in a public school and you're living in like Tan Phu District, Tan Binh, Govap, District 12, and the further you get from the center, the cheaper it gets. Like once you start going out to like the far reaches of like Ho Chi Minh to where it's like nearly Dong Nai, I mean, housing becomes like almost negligible in the cost of, but when you want to live in prime areas like District 1, District 2, District 3, and even now slowly but surely District 4 is becoming more expensive. And you're seeing Saigon in the last few years has become much more expensive for more prime real estate for nicer locations. During the pandemic, the prices came down a bit, but it's gotten quite expensive to rent in Ho Chi Minh City, depending on what standards you're looking for. But again, it's Asia. So the good thing about Asia is you can always go down a little bit and you don't necessarily give up so much lifestyle.
No, absolutely. You could do it. When I first moved here, I looked at apartments for $250. I mean, they're nothing special. You're next door to a chicken dispensary, if you know what I mean. But you can get it for $250 a month. So it's just whatever you want to spend, you can spend pretty much. That's what it comes down to. I mean,
one thing I've learned living as an expat for so many years is you will definitely get sick. And if it's your first time living in the developing country, I strongly recommend you have some reliable health insurance. That's why we partner with Safetywing. Our link is in the description below. They're a health insurance company designed for nomads, designed for people who live the same lifestyle as us, who are out there actually living their lives and pursuing new opportunities and new destinations. Safetywing is a great transitional health insurance until you can arrive in the country and figure out what you can get domestically. They're designed for people who move around and who travel, so it's the perfect health insurance for people who live our kind of lifestyle. You have tremendous lifestyle opportunities in these places. Don't let getting sick mess you up. Your first couple of years in a developing country, you will definitely get sick. And having a reliable health insurance can be the difference between spending thousands of dollars or coming away pretty clean.
Yeah, I mentioned my rent, and like I said, you got transportation's going to run you $150 a month. But you can buy a scooter. I was looking at a motorbike the other day, $150. So you can buy a motorbike, and I used your guy to get me I'm going to get my license, my Vietnamese license. So your guy's going to hook me up with that. And I could cut out the $150 a month and just now ride my motorbike. And it only costs about $5 a week to fill it up.
Right.
Unless you're traveling, like I drove a bike from here to Da Nang and Hoi An. You're going to probably, that trip cost me about, in gas, $40.
Wow, that's amazing. So cheap.
Right. So I mean, that's one thing. Transportation, but you can got ways around it. Shopping. Now, if you go to the market, like a street market, your food's going to be cheaper. You get your fruits. I see people on Facebook all the time saying stupid stuff. I went to Big C and bought. Why'd you go to the Big C to buy a pepper and garlic when you can go down the street and get half off? And if you have a Vietnamese girlfriend, she gets it almost for free. So the pricing of food, like for, let's say in America right now, a monthly bill, I think it was 3 years ago. I just seen the stat actually today. 3 years ago, you were spending $70 on an average shopping bill. Now you're spending $150. I mean, $150. I mean, if you get street food market and you still go to the Big C. The Big C is like ShopRite, Pathmark, Guys, help me out. If you know any other supermarkets, leave it in the comments. I can't remember all of them. I haven't been there in so long. Maybe you can let me know. But it's just, you're probably going to spend $100 on food. You go down the street and get a coconut, he chops it up for 50 cents. You know, breakfast, banh mi. You get 2 of them for $1. So a lot of times I'm not even going to the store to cook. It doesn't make sense. I mean, I want stuff in my house, you know, my peanut butter, you got, you know, when you got to have your peanut butter and jelly at all times, but it never goes bad in the peanut butter. But let me know if you're Skippy, crunchy or creamy peanut butter. I'm a creamy peanut butter guy. So
Leave it in the
I don't need to
comments.
keep asking you guys to leave comments. It's just coming in my head.
Leave it in the
But
comments.
so the food is 100, 150 if you eat a lot. If you drink beer, I'm a Carlsberg guy. I've traveled all over the world, 45 countries, and I fell in love with Carlsberg. I just left a video on my channel at the rooftop bar. They had Carlsberg there. That's why I went. You're going to spend about $2.80 for a draft. So if you go out drinking every night, you're going to spend another $100. If you go out on weekends, you'll probably spend about $50. That's for both nights combined, not one night. So nightlife, even, I mean, if you're not an alcoholic, you go out every night of the week. You know, the other day I go, you know, by the river, they have all the restaurants on the street, and you sit down in the tiny chairs. And I mean, you can get a beer for 80 cents. So you get some fries with chicken and a beer, and you're spending $2. So it's how you spend your money. So food, you're going to save money compared to whatever, I don't care what country you're in. And the nightlife is pretty cheap.
Power's cheap. Like, you know.
When I first moved here, I didn't really know any better. They charged me $4,500 a kilowatt, which is expensive.
Cheaper than Cambodia still. Way cheaper than Cambodia.
But
You know,
now I'm spending $3,500, so I use about 400 kilowatts, so I'm spending about $60. I mean, you're out working all day, so you don't need it on, you know. So I leave it on all night.
You're using your air conditioner, right?
Yeah, about 12 hours a day. When I'm at work, it's off. There's no need, because my room isn't so big that it needs to be on to keep cooling. I mean, if you have a 2-bedroom, you leave it on a low cost, you know, but where I live, I can turn it off, turn it on, and my room's pretty chill. So I do it when I sleep, and if I'm working close to where I live and I take my 2-hour break and come home, I'll pop it on. But it averages about 12 hours a day. So it's about 400 kilowatts a month you're going to spend, which is, like I said, $60, $70.
So guys,
and the Wi-Fi is included.
Oh, okay, and he has Wi-Fi included. So yeah, guys,
and cable.
Honestly,
and cable's included.
Oh, and cable. So you have Wi-Fi and cable included. Okay, good.
Yeah. HBO, Cinemax, Fox Sports. So.
All right. So I would say, guys, that like if you're coming from a Western country, the cost of living is going to be shockingly cheap. You definitely can spend too much money depending on your lifestyle. But if you try not to, you definitely can avoid it. One thing I would say about eating at the local markets, and this is one thing you do need to bear in mind, is that Vietnam is running out of clean water. And a lot of the way that the agriculture is done is with heavy pesticides. So like stomach cancer is like a real thing in Vietnam. And one reason why you may want to shop at certain chains, like they have co-op marts in Saigon. Those are kind of like chains geared more towards local people. They do have the Vin Marts. The reason you might want to get your produce in those places is because they're going to have better standards on where they source the produce, whereas what comes from the markets could come from China. It could come from like not the cleanest necessarily agricultural practices, and stomach cancer is really common. So things to think about, guys. But again, you can adjust your lifestyle. You can eat wholly organic also if you can afford it.
Right.
I mean,
can I mention something for a second about the food? When I buy anything, I go home, I put the food in the water, and I pour salt and I let it sit until it's clean. I rinse it,
And I also have an ultraviolet light. It kills it. So, I'll ultraviolet just to make sure it's clean. It's about this big and it has a light and you can go over it. It cleans the food and it keeps stuff in your refrigerator pretty good for a while. It doesn't go bad. Your fruits and stuff, you can leave it in there. Knock on wood, I haven't got sick from it, doing that with the salt. But
Well,
there
that's
are better
good.
places to get it.
Yeah, no, that's good, and that's a great thing you guys can look into getting. The problems I talk about are not necessarily food poisoning; they're more like exposure to chemicals over the period of years that can lead to these type of problems. But again, you can buy things like this. Like I live in Cambodia, I have a water filtration system for my drinking water. There is ways you can adapt, and it's not that expensive. So cost of living is really going to be an advantage to these countries. Like Uncle Hollywood's giving you guys some examples of some of his living costs and some of the way that he lives. There's all different types of lifestyles. When I was out there, my wife, she was doing a little bit under 20 hours. So I think she was doing like 19 hours a week, and she was getting paid about $22 an hour. I was getting paid about the same, about $21, $22 an hour. And at the end, when I was consulting more full time, I was working like 10 hours a week just to have like something that covered like a lot of the baseline costs. And then the consulting got so busy that I didn't really have time to teach anymore. And it became just like better to put my energy towards this than it was teaching. But every time that I was teaching, I got to tell you guys, I had a pretty good quality of life. And, I didn't spend a ton of money. We did jujitsu, we did sports, we brought protein powder, we ate at restaurants, we took trips around Vietnam, and we still were able to like, make our bills and get
And
ahead.
save
So
money.
yeah, so if you have the right documents these days, it's Vietnam is still going to be a fantastic cost of living for an English teacher. Let's go on to number 3. So I would say this is an important one for me because this is a big part of how my whole situation changed was social contacts. So being in a country like Vietnam, you're going to have the opportunity to connect with lots of people from all over the world, as well as people all over Asia and all over Vietnam. And you're going to be exposed into a higher echelon of the society because you're a foreigner from, presumably a native speaking country. You're going to be given some access, and you're going to have the opportunity. Like, for example, guys, I taught people in the upper class. I taught people who were doing, investor visas in the US and Canada, and they owned, real estate in Saigon that was making them like a 10 grand a month income. I've worked with some really spoiled rich kids, and I've also worked in the public schools, just like big Uncle Hollywood over here. So I've seen a lot of different like sides of the society. And, just through jujitsu, my sport, and through grappling, I was able to meet a lot of interesting foreigners, as well as politically connected Vietnamese and people who in business and industry. And these are some of the people who I may never have been exposed to if I was not willing to take myself out of the comfort zone. So I think social contacts and networking and building relationships, if you're of that type of mindset, then, teaching English in Vietnam is a fantastic way to allow you to stay in the country and to start building some of those bridges.
No, I agree. And I'm just going to touch a little bit on, to breaking out of the box and doing, moving or something. I know it's usually hard, but I was actually teaching that to my kids today. We were doing opposites.
Mm.
And so it was adventurous, and then and they had timid. So like if you're timid, you're not going to crash out of your box. You're always going to be nervous of what you're doing. And normally that holds you back. And that's what I was telling the kids today. If you're timid, be adventurous in a smart way. You never know what's around the corner. I said, you don't know what's next. But if you never leave your house, you know what's next? Nothing. You're not leaving your house. And they were like, oh, they call me young grasshopper. And then they call me sensei sometimes. I don't know why I don't know any karate, but because I'm a foreigner, I guess. I introduced them to the Cobra Kai, the Karate Kid show. Now they all come in and they're all like Cobra Kai and stuff. It's crazy, but it makes the day enjoyable, man. But as far, that's how I got my tutoring. Just talking to people. There's 2 types of teachers, I believe. Ones that try too hard, ones that care, but they know the reality of what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
And
sure,
there are teachers that just drink, do drugs, show up, and leave. that is not what you want to do, but they're out there. I'm kind of the one that cares, but I know what the limits are of everything. But because I care, I have like the TAs, they see it. And when the kids go home, they talk about me and boom, I got a job tutoring, you know? So show that you care, that you're just not there to walk through the steps, and it opens up, you know, like when I used to train at a gym. I was smiling, or people would come up, hey, you know, you're always smiling, and then I get them as a client. So push out the positive energy, you're gonna get it back. Especially here in Vietnam, a lot of Buddhism. They believe in that stuff. They believe in energy, and so learn the culture a little bit and make your foreigner still. You're still a foreigner, but learning the culture and meeting people, you never know what's next.
So for me, you know, when I first came out, you know, I didn't even really want to teach. I kind of like almost was pushed into it by all these random recruiters because they all wanted me to teach. And I remember, you know, it didn't take me too long to realize the only reason they all want me to teach is like I'm a pretty good shape. I'm a white guy. I'm from America. They can make lots of money on me. Like the relationship is transactional, like no doubt, right? So you know, I played the game and, you know, I made people like me for the most part. There was some schools that hated me, but that's just largely because like there were certain TAs that would want me to like scream and yell.
Yes.
And I'm not going to do it. I don't, you know, it's just not, you know, like I'm there, but I'm not like that invested, you know, like.
No, I hear you. I've got booted from a few. My problem is I don't hold my tongue, and if you're an idiot, I kind of call you out on it. I don't care what nationality you are. An idiot's an idiot in every country. And I'll just call you out, and then normally I'll just get moved on to another school. Like my last company, they were running out of schools.
So what I did was I just tried to make good relationships with like, you know, recruiters that I thought were good to people to know for business, people who were in the visa business. And as I started helping people finding teaching jobs and eventually, you know, getting TRCs, setting up companies, getting themselves out of trouble, this all started happening over the pandemic. We got him his current TRC at the moment, and he just received it.
Yep. Yep.
And all this is
Work
because of the
permit.
relationships I was able to
Yeah.
make, you know, through
Yeah.
teaching and through being allowed just to be in Vietnam and having a reason to be in Vietnam and giving me access, and then me choosing to do my sport, you know, which connected me to a community as well. So let's get on to the next one. I would say that's pretty good for
Open your mind. Let loose.
that's pretty good
Think
for
out of the
social
box.
contacts. Okay, so number four. So number four, I think is like for anyone who travels, this is going to be a big part of probably why you travel. It's a big part of why I travel. Is food. The food in Vietnam is fucking delicious, healthy, and there's something for everyone. There's something for every diet. There's something at every price point, from the lowest street food up to the most high-end, fancy, fine dining. Whether you're coming out to open up a huge corporation in Vietnam or to teach her the Englishes in the public schools, you know, you're going to have something that you can eat. It's going to be good quality. It's going to be delicious. You do have to worry occasionally about hygiene, but you know, you find your spots after a while and you figure out where to eat. And like I said, some of the issues with the food and like the food production, they can be challenges. So I don't want to be disingenuous. I want to tell you guys that there are issues with pesticides and things like this. But you know, you run risk of being exposed to chemicals even in countries like the United States. So
Yeah.
you know, just bear it in mind. Vietnam does not have like an FDA or a Food and Drug Administration. There's no regulatory body that's like really enforcing how things are grown or produced. But that aside, the food is fucking delicious.
Not getting any ratings. I don't know what in America you have on the window. We were rated B or rated A. You ain't getting
No,
that.
you're not getting ratings. Yeah, you're not getting a health rating. But no, but the food is fucking delicious. It's healthy.
Well, I'll tell you, when I first moved here, I didn't make a video. I should make a video on it on my channel, Highwood's Journey. But when I first moved here, I wanted to see how cheap I could eat one day. And when I woke up, I got a banh mi. It was 18,000, which is about 80 cents. I don't drink coffee or anything, so I got I don't know if I'm gonna say this right, Nook Mai,
Me,
Nook Mi, which is a sugar drink.
sugar
Uh,
cane.
sugar cane, right? But it's like a sugar drink, which I did research on. It is more healthier than orange juice. It has less sugar than orange juice, less calories than orange juice, and it does more for your body. So I switched from drinking. I used to drink orange juices in the morning for like 15,000, 10,000, depending on your size, which is what, 25 cents, 30 cents. So now I'm up to $1, and I got my drink and my sandwich. And the sandwich ain't small. It's not like in America, you get it like that big. It's on a piece of bread that they just made in the back room, or they just bought it from the bakery down the street. So it's fresh bread, and you get some good stuff on it. Then I went and taught, and then for lunch I got kum ga, chicken and rice,
chicken rice.
chicken and rice.
Kum tam is like the little mix, they pick like a few things and put on the rice.
Yes, but you get, I mean, when they give you rice, they don't put it in a little, turn it upside down, and the plate is covered with rice, and then you get the leg and the wing. I mean, and it's good, and that's usually about $1.40. Then you walk down the street, and there's some old lady. You got to get it to make it mini pancakes. You get 4 or 5 of them for 10,000. So what am I spending now? I was up to like $3, and it was 2:00. And then for dinner, I got pho, which, by the way, is healthy for you. If you are on health cause, pho is healthy. It's a healthy food.
Vietnamese food, the ingredients are healty.
Yeah. Well, Vietnam's the skinniest country in the world.
I did not know that.
Yeah. Because they don't really eat too much, and the food they're eating is pretty healthy. The soups and stuff, banh bo, banh mi's, they're not very fattening. So the good soup is going to cost you about 35,000. A good pho, and they give you free iced tea. I forget the name of the iced tea they give.
Trada.
Yes, trada.
Trada just means like tea ice.
Right, which is good. Some of them put green tea in it sometimes. The mint, and it's pretty good. And it was 30. Mine was 40,000. So what is that? That's like $1.80, $1.75. I think $1 right now is 24,000.
When he says 40,000, or like earlier in the video, he said like 150. He's talking about Vietnam dong.
Right. The currency in Vietnam. I'm doing all the comparisons to the USD, to the US dollar. So 24,000 dong is $1. So if my meal is 40,000, I mean, it's about $1.80, $1.82. And you're getting noodles, beef, unless you get the chicken. They got different ones, but if you're going to get pho, you got to get the beef. The noodles and garlic, I mean, they give you this mountain of greenery you can throw in there. You leave there, you're good. And then during the day, you might have hit a bakery and got a breadstick for 5 cents. And then you go to sleep. So I spent less than $5.
That's and that's eating insanely cheaply,
less
guys.
than $6.
And guys, like, we have a pescatarian kind of diet, so we eat like seafood, eggs, and vegan food as well. And I eat at the kum chai a lot, which is like the vegetarian rice. It basically translates into like vegan rice, and they have a lot of them at temples, and sometimes some of them are actually very high quality, where you can get like a nice plate of steamed vegetables for about $2, $1. And these are sit down restaurants. Sometimes if you go to local ones, it could be like 50 cents a dish, and if you go to some of the nicer, like obviously higher standard ones, anywhere from like $1 to $3 a dish. And again, you're talking about just really delicious, high quality food, high quality vegetables. Sometimes they'll do Korean dishes. They'll have like sushi or kimbap or things like this. So if you're a vegetarian or a vegan, extremely easy. The seafood is incredibly cheap, especially outside of Ho Chi Minh City. Vung Tau, I was living in Nha Trang, and the seafood place next to my house was so cheap that I was able to afford to eat like garlic fried shrimp every day, or
Monet was pretty cheap.
Moyne is extremely cheap. That really anywhere once you get outside of Saigon is a really good bargain, guys. And even in Saigon, it's just a matter of you finding the places that you like to fuck with and eat. And there are so many good spots. I used to have a lady on my corner who made pho, and now I don't eat meat. So what I would do is I would wait till the full moon, and she would make the vegetarian one, and it was 50 cents a bowl. And then I would sit outside in my alleyway and bang out like 3, 4 bowls of fucking soup, because I know she wasn't going to do it again till the next full moon. And then there was a granny around the corner who made like a dumpling soup, like 70 cents a soup. And of course, I live near to the temples, and if you guys know anything about the temples in Vietnam, whenever you get near the temples, there's bomb vegetarian food everywhere. So, the food is fantastic. Let's get on to number 5, I guess, which is also in relation to the food. Let's talk about the culture. I think that's another extreme positive for someone who's looking to come and teach English. Vietnamese culture is fascinating. It's ancient. It's very layered, especially if you spend time in the north in Hanoi and you see kind of like how old some of the cafes that they have up there, and just the buzz and the energy in places like Hoi An, or like the laid back and peaceful kind of southern mentality in places like Moi Nen, Nha Trang, or that raw kind of culture coming out of the Mekong Delta, where people spend their lives living on boats and shrimp and bringing fruit in and out of the Delta. For me, culture was one of the things I liked about Vietnam. I never really had many problems with Vietnamese people. I did have some issues, of course, doing business, because it's a difficult country at times to do business. And there are definitely challenges, but in basic, like day-to-day interpersonal relationships, I never really had any problems with Vietnamese. Very easy to get along with. I started picking up a bit more of the language, so I had a bit more of a perspective, and I knew when people were talking shit about me, and I knew when people were also saying nice stuff about me. And I never got fluent, but I got to where I could understand enough and they could understand me enough. And it really did make a huge difference. And it made me experience the culture a little bit more also.
I highly recommend it. I tried learning the language, but I gave up because I'm a very loud person. I don't have all the octaves that they use here. And if you say Vung Tao instead of Vung Tao, they have no idea what you're talking about. By one little sound. So I just quit. I have picked up a lot of words. I know when people are saying stuff. I don't know how to say it, but Vietnamese people are not, when they talk about you, they point at you. They look right at you. Jeff, it's there. So even if you don't understand, you still have a foreigner name, and they will talk right about you, and they don't even care. But they're so cool. Like in America, you have a lot of tense people. Every day you're busting your ass. Every day emergency room, $5,000. So you're very tense all the time. When you come here, they're great people. And I would say 98% of them are so cool because you're a foreigner and they just want to talk to you. Sit down, have a beer. I mean, I went down the street one time when I moved here. I stopped at 4 different apartments. They were sitting outside drinking beer. I didn't even want to drink that night. But they sit down, they give you food. So you're a little bit more relaxed here, Got to improve your health a little bit, being relaxed. Knowing even if you get sick and you miss a week, it's not going to put you behind, really. You just didn't save a certain amount of money. I mean, just the stress, knowing that, I can't miss a day. And now come here, I can miss 10 days and not even worry about it. I'm still paying all my major bills. So, I mean, the culture here is a lot more like Buddhism's very relaxed, don't kill the bugs, living life. So, I mean, the people are a little bit more relaxed here too. They drink a lot, but it's just a better atmosphere. I would say that's the positive I get from the culture.
And I can tell you guys that some of the conditions Vietnamese people deal with as in a developing country are a lot more harsh than the conditions that some people coming from Western countries would be accustomed to. Now, obviously, Western countries have their really bad areas too, but by and large, in terms of infrastructure and dust and pollution and traffic and these type of things, you would be coming from an environment that's much more developed than Vietnam. It might be some adjustment, but that's even more testament to the culture, because the people really are so chill under circumstances that if it was the West, they would be killing each other. The Buddhism and the kind of the peaceful attitude about life, and just in general, like the Vietnamese definitely live more in the moment. The more north you go, the more organized the society gets. The closer you get to China. The more south you go, the more the people are similar to Cambodia. They're warmer, you know, a little bit more friendly, outgoing. They want to meet foreigners. They like foreigners. They want to do business with foreigners. You guys got to remember that if you're coming from like the United States and, you know, all you know about these countries is like the stuff you saw on the news from the wars and stuff. I mean, it's been a really long time, guys. The politics has moved on quite a lot, and the country and the mindset is really different here in 2023 or 2024 now, you know, compared to what it would have been in like 1980. So, you know, you have to come with an open mind, and you have to remember that, you know, Vietnam is a complicated country. The people in the north, south, and center are all very different from each other. Sometimes they even have a hard time understanding each other's languages. So where you work can really have a lot to do with your experience. That's one of the reasons working with us can be helpful, is we can kind of consult you guys on which regions of Vietnam are the best for your situation, whether you're a teacher with all your documents or whether you're just someone trying to get in and hopefully squeeze in while you still can without some paperwork.
It's getting there. It's
It's
harder and harder.
it's getting harder. So if you're in those either situation, get at us, guys. If you're thinking about coming to Vietnam to set up a company or just live with an online income, get at us. If you want to do anything, you overstayed your visa, you need help with something, we can help you. Just reach us on the Facebook fan page. If you guys like the video, please subscribe, like, share, comment. It helps us get you know, the algorithm to show other people. Check out Uncle Hollywood's channel, Hollywood's Journey. He's
Give me
just doing
some of
his
your
thing.
guys. Give me some of your subscribers. You're up over 4,000 already, just like
And,
that. Give me
and it's
some.
growing. Yeah, come see Uncle Hollywood, you know, like support. He's a good guy. He's got a good heart. He's doing his thing in Ho Chi Minh City.
And you're gonna
Guys,
get
just
realness. I leave reviews. I've traveled around the world. Anything I give you, maybe you might not have a drone or anything, but it's real. It's the honest truth. I'm not throwing you any bullshit. You can always. I had somebody the other day ask me questions about a video I did on. They thought they needed an FBI background check in America to come here, and they looked at my video and sent me commented back. I comment back right away. So I have various things, but everything is legit. Nothing is bullshit.
yeah, that's why we love them. And if you guys are thinking about coming to Southeast Asia, not just Vietnam, but you know, Cambodia, Thailand, Laos. We have relationships in the Balkans. We're going to start dropping some content soon on my wife and I pursuing our Italian citizenship. So we'll have some information on that. And we're going to be heading to a new destination in April. I'll leave it as a surprise. If you guys are looking for getting out of your rut, out of your routine, doing something different, and you do need to earn income, I would suggest English teaching to anyone. It is getting much more difficult to live in Vietnam on tourist visas. They're starting to make it so you need to leave the country in order to reapply. They're looking for patterns of foreigners who are trying to live on tourist visas. So if you're thinking about coming over to be a teacher, this is a good time to solidify your position, get your work permit, get your TRC, get yourself set up,
The
and you
holidays are
know,
coming up.
holidays are coming up. I don't know next year if it's going to be possible to still get people work permits without the degrees like it has been this year. You know, it's getting a little bit like, you know, to the point where they're looking
To be
closely
honest
at this
with you,
stuff.
if you get here, you can still get work, man. I'm gonna be honest with you. I know a bunch of people.
Yeah.
You're gonna get it. You know, it might be through a different way, but just come in, figure it out when you're here. You'll get it though.
Yeah, and if you work with us, you'll have a lot of contacts to start. The way it's going to affect things is not that you guys aren't going to get work. It's going to affect things more like it's going to be hard to stay in the country on the visas. It's going to be annoying. They're going to make it fucking much more like uncomfortable. At least for now, it seems to be the way things are going. And I'm even hearing rumors that they're going to pull the 90-day e-visa. I'm hearing this from a lot of Vietnamese people. So I don't know if that's true yet, but at this point, it's speculation. But they are making people apply outside of Vietnam, and they're either denying people or giving them like 1 week if they apply inside Vietnam.
And let me say something. I've been seeing on the Facebook pages, you cannot get a retirement visa in Vietnam.
No,
Right?
there's no such thing. We have to.
No
You'd have to
such
be an
thing, and they're
investor.
advertising it, so they're going to steal your money. I just want to throw that one out there for you.
The way you want to, if you're a retiree and you're thinking about staying out here in Southeast Asia, a lot of countries do have retirement visas. Vietnam does not. But what we do is we help you guys become investors, and that would allow you to basically live there, and it doesn't require a work permit. So like, for example, like if you're over, you know, a certain age, it's difficult to get a work permit in Vietnam. Well, we just make you an investor. Work permit's not necessary, blah, 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 blah. But in Cambodia, you can get a work permit. There's no age restriction. I think in Vietnam, it's like over 60 or something like this. It's difficult to get a work permit. I would have to check with my Vietnamese partners, but I think that's currently what the age is. Whereas in Cambodia, it's like, you know, you could be a teacher whenever. You just need somebody willing to hire you. But if you're still, you know, under retirement age and you want to make money and you're willing to put up with jumping over the borders, like you'll definitely still get work. It's just better if you guys can solidify your position. Even if you have an online degree, just do an online degree, do whatever, get the degree, get yourself sorted out, because the country slowly but surely, as it develops, it is going to become tighter on these things. And over time, we're always going to be able to help you find a solution to stay in Vietnam, but it could get more and more expensive, more and more conflated. So if you're thinking about coming to Vietnam, reach out to us. We do hourly consulting. We don't give away free information, but we are also not all about money. So any time that you spend with us for hourly consulting, we apply to a larger service. That way it's fair for you, it's fair for me. Thank you for watching the video. Subscribe to Hollywood's Journey. I'd like Uncle Hollywood to leave us with his final thoughts.
My final thought is, in the comments, who's your favorite character? Potsy, Ralph the Mouth, or Richard Cunningham? Let me know. I'm going to be checking out your comments to see if they leave any. I think I went over a little bit tonight with that, but it was, I don't know why. That's how Uncle Hollywood rolls.
All right, guys, you stay in school, brush your teeth, and eat your vegetables.
I eat vegetables every day.
Brush your face and wash your teeth, son.
Hey, what's up? I'm D from Canada. Hook up with the New York Nomad if you want a smooth ride into Vietnam or any Southeast Asian countries.
Hey, my name is Aaron. Get in contact with the New York Nomads. If you want to get into Vietnam, hit them up. They'll get you in securely and professionally.
Yo, this is Uncle Hollywood. I'm telling you right now, the New York Nomad got me a job. He's legit. Hit him up. Check him out.
New York Nomad set me up in Vietnam.
Yo, my man got me a job. Come to Vietnam.
Hey, what's up, guys? You thinking about coming to Vietnam? You're not sure where to start. You've heard a lot of things online. You don't know what's true. You don't know what's not. We offer a consulting service where we help you get on your feet in Vietnam. We give you advice on negotiating contracts with employers. We help you with real estate agents, visa agents that are reliable and that you can trust. And we help you get started in this amazing country and get on your feet. We help you get into different opportunities that might be more difficult for you if you were just landing in the country on your own. And we help you avoid a lot of the pitfalls and problems that you could have as a newcomer here. We provide you with reliable job recruiters, visa agents, real estate agents, and advice. If you guys are thinking about coming to Vietnam, hit us up for a consultation. We'll help you get started, help you get on your feet, and hopefully you'll love Vietnam as much as we do.